concessions. I'm more interested in minority contracts during construction work. You spoke about improvements in Hopkins and possibly Burke and also at the Colorado Airport.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many others here are aware of it, but there was an article on the front page of the June 28th, July 4th Caller Post, where there was supposed to be a report issued to the community regarding that subject of awarding the minority contracts, which was suppressed by the mayor's office. And I'd like to know, when will that report be available? And what are you doing about awarding minority contracts and contracts to women? And also, will these additions cost us more in tax money for all these airports?
Okay, very good.
Rephrase the question too, just so the webcast can hear.
Rephrase the questions.
Well, just okay. Sort of,
Okay, I'll try. One question was, there was a report that was issued, that was supposed to be issued by the city, basically giving an update on the city's minority business enterprise program, the status of that report. What are we doing from an airport perspective and I guess a city perspective to ensure that minorities have access to contracting opportunities at the airport? And I think that was the last question that I'm not recalling.
Are these improvements going to be a tax increase on the residents of Colorado County?
Okay, yeah, I can answer all of those questions. As it pertains, well, I will try. As it pertains to the report that you referenced, I'm neither familiar with that report or in a position to speak to that report. That's a better question for City Hall. As it pertains to contracting opportunities for minorities at the airport, I think you will find, if you look at the contracts that have gone out over the last year at least, for contracting opportunities, the requirements for minority business participation or disadvantaged business enterprise participation have gone up. I don't say this publicly a lot. I'm an airport director. That's what I do. I love doing it. But my ministry is minority business development. And everything I do as an airport director, I do in light of the impact that it has on minorities. Again, to answer your last question, not a dime spent or a dime made at the airport takes away or benefits the city. Now that may sound shocking. Let me say that again. Airports, FAA require that airports be self-sufficient. And so every dime we make has to be rolled back into the airport system. Every dime we spend is the result of income that we generate at the airport. So we neither take dollars away from the city's general fund, neither do we contribute dollars to the general fund. It is a self-enclosed, self-sufficient financial system. Okay.
Right here, and then we'll get to your question. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Joe Martello. I live very close to Cuyahoga County Airport. Three parts to my question. Ricky, I've been reading that there's a substantial amount of air traffic that's going to increase in the next 20 years. Two is you have the arrival of the very light jets, four-place jets, that type of aircraft coming online, I think in 2010 or thereabouts. Three, you have a thing called free flight. Very unfamiliar with the term, but it has to do with using satellite navigation and pilots making decisions where to land, when to land, and a whole host of other decisions that are made by air traffic controllers. With the increase in the traffic and these new aircraft, wouldn't it be incumbent that both this airport, as it has to remain open, because we have such a huge additional capacity coming online here very close in a few short years, possibly 5 to 6 years? And do you know the increase in air traffic that's going to occur in this area?
Gil Martello's question was essentially about the increase in capacity that is more or less inevitable, as you understand it, and are we prepared for that? And doesn't that sort of mean it's necessary to keep Burke Lakefront Airport? Ricky Smith.
You're absolutely right. When you look at very light jets, VRJs, and regional jets, before you even get to very light jets, the advent of those two types of aircraft is the cause of the forecasted crowdedness of the air system, and it is creating capacity issues across the country. I can't forecast today, and this is one of the answers we'll get out of the master plan. I can't forecast today whether or not Burke, and I definitely can't speak to county, whether or not we have or will have the capacity right now to handle the growth that's projected from very light jets and regional jets. But it is one of those factors that would make it very difficult for the FAA to support closing down an airport or constraining the growth of an airport. Is there anything you want to add, Steve, to that? Okay. The other item is the FAA is looking at a number of opportunities to manage the skies better. Steve alluded to that earlier. And there are a number of concepts out there that they're looking at. Many of them, I would not stand here and try to profess that I know enough about them to speak to them. And so, but they are looking at a number of opportunities, and I am hopeful that these new technologies or these new systems, these new approaches to negotiating the skyways or managing the airspace will add capacity and not make it more difficult to spend anything. It's not very difficult to improve on the air traffic control system that we have today. And so, and I hope that answers your question, or at least begins to answer your question. We also have a consultant to us on the master planning effort that's here, and if I won't point him out because I don't want to put him on the spot, but if necessary, we'll call on him to help answer some of the questions as well.
Go ahead. The question has to do with the number of operations, of air operations happening out of CLE, and if you can parse those out in general aviation and so forth. Steve Nagy.
Mayor, don't hold me to an exact number, but I think the 2006 traffic count for CLE was in the 265,000 range. And that's all the airline service, all of the general aviation flights, anything else that we put in the category of other, which might be military, medevac, whatever it might be. But in terms of general aviation, the percentage of the total at Hopkins is relatively small and getting smaller. I think, and it's not through anything administrative or from a managerial perspective that has been done, because there are restrictions on how you have to make the airport available to all types of aircraft when you accept federal money under all types of circumstances, as long as your facility can accommodate them. But the market itself is limiting it. As you see the reclaiming of traffic to pre-9/11 levels, and you see Hopkins hitting to the 265,000 mark, particularly the way that the Hopkins airspace operates, with Continental Airlines as the primary carrier and using peak hours or rush hours and banks of flights coming in and out as a hub airport, it becomes very unattractive and increasingly more unattractive for the pilot of a smaller plane to try to get into that traffic mix when you've got jet flight after jet flight, probably anywhere from 1.5 to 2 minutes apart in the airspace, all moving at a very high speed, and the lower performance piston-driven aircraft and others, they really are getting more and more the message that that's not really where they want to go, and that they really need to look at their alternatives. And right now, for this geographic region, the alternatives are Burke and County.